So me and Trini is here, like, debunk why fucking.
Whoa, you're
what?
dead naming me. What the fuck, dude? You're going by STK now. That's the name.
Yo, fair. My bad.
Infamous, do you want to start us off on what their initial positions were?
Yeah. So essentially, what the topic is just like, should states have local law instead of abiding by a universal national law? That's it, right? Mm-hmm. And then NoLuck presented to say that they should have laws locally to them, just in case the government oversteps its boundaries. Pretty simple. Yeah, we did watch the video before this. Particularly, we watched last night, and just to up the points, we watched it a bit. Otherwise we wouldn't fucking know.
I watched it one time, kind of in the background, but this is still true. You can see it for yourself.
Yeah. This is still true. It doesn't really fucking matter, right? It's like the whole thing that Kruos and his gang like to push, right? Like, if you didn't fucking respond to a statement, right, given, I guess it passes.
Well, that's like a community standard.
Yeah, right? It's a community standard by now.
Burn of proof, burn of rejoinder. I mean, most of them are more favorable to burn of rejoinder versus actually giving an explanation unless prompted. So we can kind of go off of that model of debate and just say, okay, what points are they asked to prove? Did they prove them? And then when they were given a counter argument, did they give a response counter argument? And we see in the first one, obviously, NoLuck says his argument is that states should have their own laws because checks and balances.
All right. So, yeah. So, why do you think that all states should follow or have their own state laws?
They have the necessary recourse under most state laws. For example, something like California, right? California has extremely strict privacy laws that are much stricter than the federal regulations, right?
Okay.
In this case, if somebody from another state were to, or let's just say a federal actor, let's say an FBI agent, violates California privacy laws, they're actually accountable to California.
Then ICE's counter argument is that's irrelevant to the debate. So NoLuck asks him to prove that and then explains why it's actually relevant. So he loses that point because he didn't fulfill his burden of proof, and then he proceeded to not actually give a response counter argument.
And get accountable to that recourse.
That's cool and all. That's cool and all, but why are you?
I'm not even done. Wait, real quick, guys. I'm not even done. Hold on.
Yeah,
I'm not even done with my first point. It's not irrelevant. So,
okay,
again, in my premise, hold on. I'm explaining why it's relevant since you don't think it is, right? So, the reason this is relevant is in my premise, I said that these states have necessary representation and necessary recourse when they are allowed to have their own laws. I'm outlining an example to you in which this is used and an example of why this is better than if they had no recourse and no accountability.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. Go ahead.
All right, let's go. So, like I said, besides the word vomit that you decided to spin that irrelevant tangent, before we started, I went off of the premise and I said, you're okay with me taking the opposition or whatever you take. And that describes you, we're either using the stance of should all states operate or have their own laws, and the other one was should all states operate under their own USC. That would be the premise or just the overall guideline for the debate, the topic that we agreed upon. And then from there, you would have to defend the position that states should have their own laws, right?
Oh my god!
And you going off of this tangent.
I know. I get what you're getting at. I get what you're getting at. This isn't. I know this isn't a lesson, bro. We both know how to do this. I just did it for you. So go ahead. Refute what I said. I just did what you asked, bro.
Hold up.
Look, if you don't refute it, it just stands. You know that, Ista.
Hold on, give me a second.
All
right, my fault. I had to go do something. Yeah, but I was saying, the premise is for the debate is should one be or should the other. There's nothing that entails what you were arguing would matter or be necessary at all.
We just went over this, bro.
Right?
Yeah. So that's one point to NoLuck specifically on the point of why states should have local law, and the reason being because if the government oversteps its boundaries, this is like a necessity almost. Right, they need this.
I might go so far as to say that's technically 2 points because we have the main point being obviously whether or not they should have their own laws because of checks and balances. And ICE's counter was supposed to be that's irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
So he's trying to dispute that is untrue, and then he's doing that by making an additional claim of saying it's irrelevant, even if that is true. But he's just saying obviously he accepts that, which is a concession of sorts, right? Mm-hmm. And now it's hinging on whether or not that concession means anything. but NoLuck explained how it was meaningful. So he loses on a relevant point for the first one, and then a sub-argument for the second.
That's
so
what I was
2
going to say.
points that he's lost.
That's what I was going to say. I said the overarching point is just won by NoLuck, right? The overarching point is just won. And the sub-point literally involves him conceding.
Yeah, because by the burden of rejoinder model, you have to at least give a counter-argument. And even if it's not a sufficient counter-argument, giving something is at least better than nothing, and he gave literally nothing.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that in mind, I think we can move on to the next point at least, which is, why should we have state laws when we could have nationwide laws to create unity? That was his second point, right? And then NoLuck responds to this by saying, well, unity isn't necessarily a good thing, right? Especially for a country, you know, like, you disagree with racism, for instance, which is brought up later, and he says the neo-Nazis had unity. So unity isn't necessarily good for a country.
Yeah, so basically, ICE in the past, and this is something NoLuck brings up, ICE in the past has denounced and decried racism and neo-Nazism and plenty of things like this. One of the easiest pieces of evidence is one of the main reasons he has beef with Noodles, and I think this is legitimate. Noodles is someone that ICE is criticized for being racist, which means that ICE doesn't accept racism.
What I was saying to you directly is that I can just say all states should follow one or just under the same USC or whatever the fuck it is. I don't even need to know what it is for the debate because the topic is just should they, right? And then my argument for should they could just be that I feel like it resembles unification. It could just be anything.
Okay, so do you think all unification's good? Is that what you're getting at here? Unification's inherently a good idea?
Thing. I'm just giving you a reason why they should follow under one USC. That's
for the sake of unity, for the sake of like coming together. Like what's the reason?
Unity.
Okay.
I think unity is necessary.
Okay, so you think unity is necessary?
Yeah.
You think this is like a good thing,
like
right?
All
so like
should value unity.
Wait, why are you interrupting? I thought you didn't want me to interrupt. The reason unity is not inherently good is because you see people unifying, coming together under things like the KKK, neo-Nazism, and so forth, which are things I've heard you debate are bad, things you yourself have decried. So unless you'd like to go back on that, you would then have to go back on basically saying that, well, this is good to have a federalized like statute for the sake of unity, because you'd either have to admit that unity is not inherently good, or that unity is not what makes this good.
Okay.
So pick one.
So, obviously, an easy defense for this is to say, I'm being a devil's advocate right now. Obviously, I'm not representing my honest positions. I'm just trying to win the debate. But he doesn't even say that, right? That was an easy out he, for whatever reason, didn't take. And NoLuck says it's either this, which he could have easily defended, or he's contradicting himself. He failed at like a debate 101 move. Holy shit, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah, he didn't even take the out, like, which was, I accept racism. Like, that's what anyone could take. Like, anyone would be like, yeah, I accept racism, but it's consistent.
Yeah, he
could have said he was consistent.
He could have just said, as far as the debate is concerned, that's irrelevant because he's not talking about his actual beliefs. He's just...
Yeah, it'd be a red herring. Yeah, it'd be off topic.
Yeah. And so he loses on that point via burden of rejoinder. So,
yeah.
You can say that ICE is arguably lost 2 or 3 points for going off of a very
2 points, 1 sub point, yeah.
Yeah, if we're going off of a very strict burden of proof where you have to present an argument for every claim you made, I guess you could say that it was a little bit closer. But if we're just going off of like prompted burden of proof where you're actually asked to prove something, NoLuck proved everything that he was asked to, at least on some level, whereas ICE,
which is what we value,
anything he said. Yes, and he just asserted every claim. So at this point, what we see is ICE is just saying stuff, doesn't present any actual counter arguments, and doesn't have evidence. Whereas NoLuck's at least presented counter arguments, provided evidence, and has a case. So he has an evidential case and counter arguments.
Yeah, there was never a point. There was never a point to which NoLuck did not have a response to anything ICE says. And to transition, I suppose, over to the next thing is, after these 2 like events happen, right? Arguably 3 events, right? ICE gets really like, and he already had been pretty rude with NoLuck, right? Which he was warned about several times throughout the debate. If you go watch it,
yeah.
He warns him, and he's like, "Listen, don't get rude with me, right? Because now I'll get rude back." You know. So, like, ICE then keeps interrupting and insulting NoLuck, wanting him to like even after NoLuck warned him about it, expecting NoLuck to not respond for some reason. Like, I don't know how we came to that, but this eventually led into the roasting shit.
Bro,
I
we
can
just
say
went
like,
over this.
okay, wait. Let me explain, right? Okay, I can
Okay.
go off and I can just stop interrupting. You can shut up. Like you're ugly.
Don't tell me to shut up. Don't get rude with me. That'd be a bad idea.
Yeah, you asked me a question, unless you were implying it's rhetorical.
It's rhetorical, right? So I'm giving you an example.
All
I'm
right,
showing you why it's rhetorical, right? So
All
I
right, go
think
ahead,
this is
finish
a.
talking.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Did you say you wanted to finish talking,
I
or
just
were you?
said finish talking, bitch. Go ahead.
Okay. Don't get rude with me. Final warning. So.
Yeah, it's just a proportionate response. Which I'll say this: I have two things to mention. One that's relevant and one that's irrelevant. The irrelevant thing. Did anyone notice that he was mouth breathing like a motherfucker? Like Ice to his mouth breathing so fucking hard at the beginning. I don't know if he does that in general, but he was doing that. So NoLuck, are you ready? Pick your best topic. I was like, what the fuck? Like, apparently he's like a college athlete or something. So I just don't know why he breathes so fucking hard.
You said your best topic was like, what is it, like state legality or something like that?
I was gonna say that Ice just said that NoLuck was compromising the dialectic, which, by the way, this is a cringe meme. Like, this only counts kind of if, like, for instance, you could argue that like someone from the initial point of the debate is stopping the debate from even like getting arguments in. I'll just say this: I don't think that really means anything because, number one,
Call him a bitch.
the dialectic wasn't in Ice's favor. Like, no, it's like, even if that is the case, he compromised the dialectic that he was already winning. So, like, what now? Like, oh, yeah, no, like, you're stopping yourself from winning. Like, that's better for you. I still, like, you're an idiot. Like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
here, let's be generous. Let's be generous. Let's say that the debate stopped when NoLuck started to respond and roast, right? NoLuck won.
Yeah.
NoLuck won.
Basically, Ice was doing the, you're roasting me repeatedly, you're not letting me talk, you're compromising the dialectic. He got flamed up. But we'll talk about that more in a second. So as far as the actual argumentation goes, that goes to NoLuck. And technically speaking, while this isn't the whole side of the rhetoric, I think this should give people an inclination. The straw poll that was made about this debate, 67% of the voters said that NoLuck won, right?
And these are not NoLuck's people.
33%. Yeah, this isn't like
this is an Ice to server.
Like our group or anything like that. I think he gave the owner away to like Seth or someone, so it might have been a neutral server. But best case scenario, it was a server that he made and then gave to Seth. And I guess Seth's like his friend or whatever. But like, is Seth really out here saying NoLuck wins every debate? Like, yeah, Seth has shit talk NoLuck. So I don't know about all that.
Yeah. So like, it's just like the straw poll does not go in his favor, right? Like
the straw poll is not helping in terms of the rhetoric and in terms of knowledge. Look, NoLuck brought up like California like precedent in terms of state law, and then the relevance of it to like, you know, state boundaries.
Yeah, he brought up multiple state law. He brought up like actual like statistics.
So
like what did ICE to provide?
If we're talking about knowledge, yeah, if we're talking about knowledge, NoLuck. Like that's not even a concept.
If we're talking about rhetoric,
he said nothing relevant. Rhetoric so far, NoLuck. But we'll talk about the roasting in a second. And then if we're talking about like the actual argumentation, ICE still literally didn't win a single point.
Low diff, easy. He didn't respond to two of them. He didn't respond to two of them.
Yeah. The one that he like half responded to wasn't even relevant.
Yeah. The only one he responded to, he conceded.
Yeah. Correct. And then as far as the actual roasting, that's the interesting part because I guess Ice thought that was his comfortable spot, but he did the same wannabe Sage Jr. shit that he always does, like, oh, your mama is the zookeeper from that one fucking Kevin James film. Like, he's just saying stupid shit that nobody found funny. And what's worse, he was quiet the entire time. He was so fucking quiet, bro. Oh, you're loud miking, which NoLuck showed that he wasn't loud miking. He turned on his loud mic and showed what that would sound like, but he showed that he didn't loud mic. So, like, Ice was getting flamed up and making excuses. Oh, you're compromising the dialectic. Oh, you're interrupting me because I'm, like, slapping you, even though he lost every point. The knowledge, NoLuck 0 diff. The rhetoric, NoLuck low diff. Argumentation, NoLuck low diff. Maybe mid diff, depending on how strict we are about burn.
And we already agreed if we cut out everything before he loud mic'd, he won. We already agreed.
If we include the roasting and shit, dude, he wasn't even loud micing that. I don't know if you heard the full like latter half of that, but he wasn't even loud micing. That's the funny part. He loud mic'd one time to be like, "This is what it sounds like when I'm loud micing. You're just a bitch."
You know, he loud mic'd twice, both to show that this is what it's like to loud mic.
No humor, no argumentation, no real rhetoric, like no knowledge. Literally in every sense, this kid got bodied, bro. So, all in all, like I said, man, Ista, you fucking suck, bro. Like, just give it up.